Hi, hello, welcome to this channel. It's me, the person you're watching, and I'm gonna do whatever I'm gonna do today. Hello. Interesting. Cool. So I have the Dream Tarot of Dreams. I have the Tarot of Dreams because um, Remy just did a giveaway, and she reminded me that I have this deck. Not that I necessarily forgot. I feel like every now and then, um, this card came out last time. Jupiter and Leo, the Six of Wands. I love this. I don't necessarily know how I feel about the court cards in this deck, but that's like every deck. Interesting. Anyway, so today's an IC3, Iced Coffee Chronicles. Not necessarily. I have iced coffee. Um, Also, I got like a bunch of fortune cookies. So I guess that's what we're going to do. In post slash as I do this, I'm going to make the timestamps and I'm going to use the lucky numbers from the fortune cookies and the timestamps. And then I guess we'll wing it as we usually do. Okay, right. Cookie. I may not even put cookie. So I got like a bunch of these last night. I had one, I wanted one extra. I ended up getting like 5 extra. So I distributed them to the folks who wanted them. This is going to be a lot of noise. I distributed them to the folks who wanted them. I had one, no fortune. And then I had like a second one and still no fortune. So I knew that I was going to use 2 or 3 of these to go live with because, why not? I'm me. Um, and yeah, both of the ones I had yesterday didn't have a fortune. So, cool. I got it locked in. So before the timestamps are up, or if you're here, you can pick fortunes 1, 2, or 3. Maybe there will be a fortune, maybe there won't be. I feel like within the past few years, I want to say like 2. I feel like 2 years isn't enough. So like 3. I've like started getting cookies without fortunes. The first time it happened, I was like, what? And I remember because I told Hemi, I miss her. It's fine. So these are the 3 cookies. And I'm gonna just go for it. I'll do this one first since it's right here. Oh, and I can see the timestamp. So I'll timestamp after I open it, and I'm gonna eat them, I guess. Maybe I'll eat the first half in the beginning, and then I'll read it, and then I'll eat the second half as it ends, and then I'll take a drink of the water to cleanse the palate. Because why not? Sorry. There's no fortune again. So I feel like that kind of like ruins my whole plan. Because if I put the numbers from the fortune cookie, I guess I could put 0. Because I don't think they would give 0. Wow. I'm not going to cheat and look. So right now, As things stand, 3 cookies did not have fortunes, and 2 of them did. So I'm just gonna go for the watermelon alchemy because I haven't used it in a while. Right. And we'll just see. We'll see what's up. So general. Ooh, let's take a breath. Hold up. I feel like my heartbeat is like elevated, like starting to race a little bit. What's that about? Take a sip of caffeine to calm it down, to soothe the nerves. It's also interesting. I don't know if this is part of this or not. It wasn't until I went live last time. It was the 1694, right? And I was like, there's this whole the video was what it was. And then the next day I play the game and there's the train that like goes off the tracks. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's like literally what I was talking about, right? I know I need a retwist. She needs a retwist bad. She needs a wash and a retwist. It's fine. And then I saw that like the train went off the tracks. And I was like, oh my gosh. And when I was typing it, that's when I realized that like 6 9 is Cancer. Cancer is the chariot. I was looking for the chariot that takes the path that doesn't exist yet. And again, like when I was doing it, I didn't even catch that 6 9 Cancer, the chariot. Like all the pieces were there, but I mean, I guess I didn't necessarily like I already was going for the chariot anyway, so I didn't necessarily need that Cancer bridge, but it makes me think of when I ran the dice program before I built the whole program and the moon came out. And I couldn't understand why. I know maybe Cancer came out and I couldn't understand why Cancer was there, but I linked it to the moon. And it was a part of the moon that's like the side that we don't see. Excuse me, right? Because the moon is tied locked to the earth, supposedly. And so we always see the same face of the moon. And what's interesting is that side of the moon will, at some point, that side of the moon gets exposed to sunlight, but we never see it. So it's this almost weird, like, it doesn't, it's like the light of the sun versus like the light of consciousness. Like it receives the light of the sun, like in an eclipse, right? The face that we don't see is like literally the moon comes between the earth and the sun. So the side that we don't see is blasted with sunlight. Has to be, right? So we know that it gets sunlight exposure. Just because we don't see it doesn't mean that that side is dark. It's dark to us. But again, like we never see that face. And it feels like with the sun, when things are illuminated by the sun, like that is the known, the conscious, and stuff like that. But there is something that's illuminated by the sun that we still never see. And so the light of consciousness is really like of perspective and awareness. Just because it's illuminated by the sun doesn't mean that we're cognizant, conscious, or aware of it. And so, with this fortune that isn't a fortune, with this cookie that had no piece of paper, the piece of paper doesn't exist. Maybe that's the point of this. So I could look before and after the sun. Is that what we're gonna do? Sure. She's kind of giving high priestess vibes, but also if I follow this train, when I sit down, I don't necessarily go, let's do a continuation of the last 15,000 things I've read. And so maybe it's a failure on my part to um, separate one from another. You know what I mean? Maybe not, but maybe. But it does low key give the energy of, again, it was a Four of Swords, a convalescent in the SKT Revelations edition when I went looking for the destroyer. And it was like in the physical realm, the person was asleep. And it was like for the fully integrated and embodied, just because we don't do something or move something in the physical doesn't mean that there aren't other avenues in which we can participate in the creation of the generation of momentum. Now, that actually came out before the a following reading that was about like something. There are two things that are linked. They are these two analogs that are linked somehow across some kind of divide. There's enough momentum on one side that like powers the connection and causes the thing to move on the other side. And since this is about like just because we don't necessarily see something doesn't mean that it's not exposed to the light of day. It almost feels like it's playing on that. Cool. Oh, look, against nature and summer. Mostly this against nature, though. It's like this black box, and I love the black box because you don't know what happens inside of it, right? You see what's going into the black box, and you know what's coming out of the black box. And if you look at what's going in and what's coming out, you can make assumptions. But the whole thing about the black box is like, you don't know. So obviously, she's giving Sagittarius. Because for some reason, whenever my brain goes to science, it's like Sagittarius. So it's interesting. It's interesting that like the sun is kind of a black box again because of its ties to illumination, cognition, awareness, but also like with the against nature black box with the eclipse, it's something that like that it's so incredibly backlit that we don't even see it. It appears as like a shadow. We get maybe a silhouette, but we get no distinct features because the background is so bright. Now that's giving me in the Diablo tarot, it may be the sun card, it may be a different card, but there was like a power grasp for something. And there were a lot of hands that were reaching for it, just like we saw Turiel injure the mountain last time with that Seven of Wands, I believe, with like all of the hands reaching for the thing. And like all of them had a claim to it, but none of them were awarded the thing. And then it was the person writing in that was like backlit, which gives fell into Eridanus. Is it Phaeton? I think it's Phaeton, the son of Apollo, who before his time tried to use his birthright to claim divine responsibility that he was not ready for. Phaeton is a figure from Greek mythology, the son of the sun god Helios, famous for his tragic attempt to drive his father's sun chariot. Oh, look, there's the chariot and the sun. OMG. Which nearly set the world on fire, leading to his death by Zeus's thunderbolt. The myth serves as a cautionary tale about hubris, with Phaeton's story explaining natural phenomena like the Milky Way and the scorching of Africa. The name Phaeton also refers to an asteroid known for its comet-like activity. What does that even mean? An asteroid known for its comet-like activity? What's a comet, or what's an asteroid that acts like a comet? Does it like move? Right? Because I guess what comets have tails. And I feel like when I hear asteroid, I think of something like stationary that's just like floating out in space, like a random rock. But when I hear of a comet, I think of a random rock that moves. Anyway, cool. Am I looking before and after Soulless? Sure. Cool. All right. I feel like things are calmed down now. And I'm gonna cut it. Ooh, ooh. Okay, that was an interesting cut. Bottom of the deck is Dissolution. Salutio, number 65, followed by Synchronicity. And the Sun Splendor, 53. 65, 63, and 53. So between 65 and 63 is 64. 6 plus 4 is 10. 10 less than 63 is 53. Also, kind of like, look at that, right? Interesting. Synchronicity, again, I was talking about the synchronization of these two analogs, right? Whatever this dissolution is, it synchronizes with the sun's splendor. And again, it's interesting that sun splendor is what it's synchronizing to, because I'm looking for the sun. There's even a bird in here. Well, there are two birds in sun splendor. There's one in dissolution. In the SKT, which I referenced, the initiate and the seeker actually came out. Sorry, the initiate. Yeah, the initiate and the seeker came out because two of the fools were there. I went looking for the seeker, the keeper. The initiate, the first fool, the seeker, the second fool, both came out. Because they both came out, I went looking for the third fool, which is the keeper. In the keeper, there are three birds. Right? We have three birds here. You could say this is the one of the physical and then the two of the spiritual. You could say it's two of the spiritual because we are dual, we are multifaceted, but you could say dual natured, right? If you take the parable of the wolves, there's the self and then the two wolves. So also 65 and 63, there's a harmony of spirit that causes a change, because it's 65, 63, and then 53. So there's a harmony of spirit that causes a change in the physical. That same harmony of the spirit catalyzes something in the physical that then causes a change in the spiritual, right? 10's place, spiritual, energetic, subtle. 1's place, physical, gross, base, um, dense material. So right, it's 5 in the physical, 6 in the spirit, and then a 3 in the physical, 6 in the spirit, and then that 3 in the physical causes the 6 to go to a 5 in the spirit. This is gonna get noisy. Sorry. Oh wait, I can mute it. Sorry, I had to move the bag that they were in. Interesting. So again, this one thing synchronizes to two. Even in the synchronicity card, right? There's the self, the light, and the dark. There's the south, which I guess would be in the center, and then like the one wolf or wolves, and then the other wolf or wolves. Okay, let's. I can't spend 3 hours on one of them. I mean, I could, and then just do like separate videos, or just be live all day. I'm looking for Soul Solace. Oh, maybe I should look for Speculum. Nope, I already said. I don't know why that's just so interesting to me, or like why it really catches me up today. Because I don't know, there's something about. Here we go. Girl. All right, well, before the sun, we have autumn. And then there's the sun. And then there's, which is, oh, interesting. Autumn is 19 in this deck. 19 is the number of the sun in the tarot. And then we have Neptune, which is 9. 9 is the hermit. We have lead and copper, which are associated with Venus and Saturn outside of this. So again, I think I laid these out differently because this was before, during, and after. It's interesting that we have Neptune, which is associated with water, and then we have the great alchemical operation of water. Also interesting that we have sun splendor and then the numerological equivalent to the sun, 19. It's also interesting, though, that autumn marks the time where we really start to notice the nights getting longer, right? Autumn is holds the autumnal equinox, equal night, takes us into Libra season. It's when the days get shorter. And the days get shorter because of tilt, I believe. Right? It's like as the earth is not as it's rotating on its axis, because a full rotation is a day. But I think it also like wobbles. And so in the summer, it's like pointed towards the sun. And so you get longer days. But in the winter, it's like pointed away from the sun. So you get shorter days. I could ask Gemini, but I'm not gonna. But again, this whole thing is about the like outside of our own perspective, viewpoint, or vantage point. There are things that the sun does. And so while it fits that it is our metaphor for cognition, awareness, illumination, what is known, right? Because in the light of day, we can see, versus at night, especially in the pitch black, we can't see. But the sun is like so much larger than Earth, and its tilt and its shift and the seasons and stuff like that. What I love about Neptune being here is Neptune's association with spirituality through Pisces, but also because, through the subtle, you could say. And the subtle, be it imaginal, fantastical, illusory, whatever. I also think it's interesting that visually there's the tree full of gold. There's gold at the palm of the hand, and then there's this gold pressed between the two hands. And when it's pressed between the two hands, then it shines. So she's giving piezoelectricity, which is mentioned in the 10 card. The thing about piezoelectricity is it's a conversion of forces, right? So it could be pressure to sound or pressure to light, or it's like one thing into another. I think it's also interesting. I was gonna say, like, I don't know where this is going, but I never know where any of this is going. Really. There's something here that's like it's one thing to hold the gold or to harvest the gold from the tree, but the truth of something isn't made plain until it's pressed. Also, there's something in sun splendor that was like out of our orbit. Because here is like life on Earth. There's the sun. And then, like a planet, this gold is like orbiting around the sun where we can see it, but we can't touch it. Here, not only has it fallen into our hands, but under our control. Control isn't a strange word to use, but it is appropriate, right? Because to squeeze it, to apply that piezoelectric force, to convert one thing to another, we have to be able to manipulate it, but manipulate in terms of like interact with it with our hands, like Manus hands, not manipulate or control necessarily in like a distorted way, just like to be able to interact with it. Whereas here, it's like in the sky. You can be inspired by it, sure. You can be touched by it, sure, but you cannot touch it. It cannot be touched by you, except for here it can. Where do I go from here, girl? I don't know. I'm not gonna have any iced coffee left. I mean, I guess I could still use these. There is a tree here, and I did want to look before and after the tree of life. The fool is at the bottom of the deck. Sure, I'll try it. The Four of Wands is at the cut, and it's this like opening gateway. Excuse me, but yeah, it's like it's one thing to catch it, but it's another to be able to use it. And it's almost like just holding on to something does provide certain benefits, but it's more than that, right? It's like if you are in the dark and you have this orb of light, the orb will illuminate the immediate vicinity around you, or it will illuminate the immediate vicinity around itself, right? But it's like if you apply this piezo ability, then that light projects out into the darkness, right? So it's like a flashlight or a torch versus a lamp. And 9 is the hermit. So we have like the hermit and the sun, basically. And this is like when you press it together, like it projects that light out. So it actually can illuminate a path rather than just illuminating a vicinity. I thought a card flipped over. Look, the fool is at the bottom of the deck again. Again, we did see all three fools, the initiate, the seeker. Well, we saw the initiate and the seeker. I went looking for the keeper because it's like, well, we've seen the other two. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'll give it 2. The 4 of Wands is at the bottom of the deck this time. Again, cards we've already seen. Um, I don't feel like this deck is going to take me where this is going. But also, there was no fortune here. So, like, let's say that someone has a gift, and maybe it's like the sun rises and sets, just like the moon rises and sets. Maybe it's like been in their orbit, and there are certain phases or times in their life where they've used it more, certain times where they've used it less, and now they've recently come to like fully grasp it or to be able to use it on command. Again, it's like all this like control, command, manipulate, and it's not necessarily how we would, but like that was the thing with ignorance last time too, where it's like technically the definition applies, but it's not how we would necessarily think of it. But just because it's not how we would think of it doesn't mean that I have to like find a whole new word or find a different word, because like the word still applies. And maybe it's a thing of like there are things that could be done, but they won't be, right? Just because you control something or have control of something doesn't mean that you have to be controlling. You know what I mean? Anyway, so this thing that's been in orbit has now come within someone's grasp, but they may not necessarily know how to use it, or they maybe that's the phase that they're in now. There's more to it, right? There's also there are questions here in terms of like how something got into the hand. Like, did it just fall from the tree into this person's hand? Did the person have to like grab it from the tree? She's low key giving the golden apple of the Hesperides or Elun's apples, but not necessarily. The golden apples of the Hesperides, I don't remember what made them special, honestly. I know it was one of Hercules' labors. I know that that's the one that he held the world for Atlas because the Hesperides were like the daughters of Atlas, and Atlas was like, "If you hold the world, then I'll go get the apples." And then he was like, he like left Hercules to keep holding the world. He was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm over that." Hercules was like, "Okay, like, well, can you hold the world for a second so I can tie my shoe?" And Atlas was like, "Sure." And then Hercules was like, "Yeah, there you go. You have your burden back." But I don't remember what was special about the apples of the Hesperides. I knew it was like a secret garden that was hard to access, and that's why, like, again, they were daughters of Atlas or something like that. Part of me like wants to look it up to like clarify for sure, but another part of me is like, no, it's fine. Like what I can work with in the context and my recollection is good enough for today. Am I curious? Yes, but will I do it? No. I know in Norse mythology, The apples of Idun are what gave the gods like their immortality, basically. I don't know if it was necessarily like their powers, but I know it was like it's what kept them young. Because when they stopped eating them, then they started to like age and stuff. Anyway, that's not necessarily whatever. But just like it's this thing of like just holding something provides some benefit. If we, it's just like it's more, there's something that goes deeper. And because this is Neptune, it is purely spiritual, right? And so this is like a conversation between you and the divine and you and spirit in some way, shape, form, and fashion that will like elucidate further ways that you can interact with whatever it is, right? This fire and water is not lost on me. And is it this year or next year? It might be this year. It has a record. It's like 6 or 7 minute long eclipse or something. Because I saw the one in 24. And when I saw the one in 24, then they were like, oh, the one in 26 is going to be like, not only is it going to be a total solar eclipse, but it's going to be like a really long one. And again, it's like this, there's an illumination that happens, but just because it's not visible, obviously, it's like just because it's not visible from Earth doesn't mean it's not visible because, like, we wouldn't know. But it's this whole like, you could also take this very much so. There's another vein of this that's kind of like what's done in the dark will come to the light through extrapolation of like the light still shines on this thing even if we don't see it. But yeah, taking this any further is beyond the scope of this reading. I feel like I should do that more. Yeah, that's beyond the scope of this reading. So, um, like I know this deck. I think it's fine. Is it fine? Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Cool. Do. Sure. So, I feel like that wasn't necessarily practical. It's a natural unfolding of something, and it's something personal that's unfolding personally. So, be that through dream, be it through prayer, meditation, and reflection with and upon the divine, be it happenstance. I see a lot of like, it's fine. Yeah. Oh, look, speculum glass. Love that. Because I was like, as I was looking through the cards, I was like, oh, I could look for speculum. But if I looked for speculum, I would be looking for speculum in terms of like what I would want out of this. Like, I want to see the thing that the sun is illuminating that is not visible, but like that would go beyond the scope of what I am to do in this moment, what I was to do in that moment, because it is closing. Like just because I want to see something or just because I want to be a medium through which maybe someone else could have something illuminated or elucidated doesn't necessarily mean that it's for me to do that. Right. And I could be like, well, I want to help. So, like, let me see if I can, you know, ask a few favors and move the process along for you. And it's like, oh, no, it's not for you to do that. But we did just see the glass. I was like, okay. All right. I don't know. All of these are probably going to be different. So I'm going to finish this one. Take a sip of water. I think I'm going to mute it while I do this. I feel like I'm so like aware of how long it's taken me to eat this. And usually it's like I'll just drink something, I'll eat something, I'll get up and go to the bathroom. I'll check my phone, but I'm like, wow, it's taking me a while. All right. Ooh, 4111 for cookie two. Oh, the first one was at 4 minutes. Cookie two is 4123. Why not? Okay, so I'm gonna mute it again while I eat the cookie because I'm assuming you don't want to just hear eating noises. All right, it's these two. Oh, that's fine. I'll take this one. There's this one not. It's this cookie. It's like the browner one. Let's see if it has a fortune. If not, then that's fine. This one doesn't have a fortune either. Love it. So far, out of this is the fourth cookie that I've eaten that hasn't had a fortune. And which, like, I guess I'm partially glad I saved these for today because I was like, I could eat another one and another one because the first two I ate didn't have a fortune. And I'll just, if I have some left, then I'll save those for when I go live. Let's see, I don't get no fortune. Maybe it's because I'm the one that's doing it and it's my fault. I'm gonna look before and after the title card in the SKT Vitruvian edition. Bread of Life and the Wheel of Life. Interesting. Bread of Life and the Wheel of Life at the cut. If I look at the ropes in a certain way in the Wheel of Life, it's giving me the same shape as the Bread of Life. Now, if the last one was the black box, and I guess I forgot that it started with the black box, so I shouldn't have been too surprised that it's like you see what goes into the black box, you see what comes out of the black box, but you don't know what happens inside of the black box. And cookie number one was very much so like what happens inside the black box. Who knows? It's beyond the scope of this reading. But here, it's almost like there's the black box of Bread of Life, but you actually get to see what's inside of it with the Wheel of Life. here in the Wheel of Life, you get details, but there's also like two sphinxes, and there's like all this rope, and there are these swords, and the scales of Libra. Because we see the sword at the top of the wheel and the scales at the bottom, it's almost this deconstructed justice energy. Because in justice, she holds both the sword and the scales, but this also precedes justice. It's multi layered. You got signs, you have elements, you have phases of the moon, you got other stuff. And the thing about like, so the Force and the Kindred were the final cards the last time I used this deck. But there's something here about like kindred forces that is speaking to me today. So it's almost like parallels instead of analogs, right? So an analog is like there's this thing that exists over here, and there's this thing that exists over here, and these are both. It's like it goes beyond a mirror, and it's not just a copy. But with a parallel, it's like how you would have, for example, like Neptune, Poseidon, but also an Oshun. And it's like they're both deities associated with water. And because of their association with water, I feel like it would be easier to do like a Venus Ishtar or something like that. But that's not the parallel that we're drawing today. Let me go for something I might kind of sort of let me go for something that I've heard about at the very least to something that girl like what, and I almost want to say Yemaya, but I know it's not Oya. I really like my brain went Yemaya at first. Now I'm like actually looking stuff up. Excuse me. Yemaya, a major water spirit from the Yoruba religion. She is the mother of all Orishas. She is also the mother of humanity. She is an Orisha, in this case, patron spirit of rivers, particularly the Ogun River in Nigeria and oceans in Cuban and Brazilian Orisha religions. Oh, wow. I didn't know she was syncretized to Virgin Mary figures. Some of the priests of Yamoja believe that she used her fresh water to help Obatala in the molding of human beings out of clay. She does not easily lose her temper, but when angered, she can be quite destructive and violent, as the flood waters of turbulent rivers. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to say, like, my brain initially went like, Yemaya, but I was like, Ocean. But yeah, it's like that, like Venus and Anana Ishtar is like a parallels thing. So rather than like analogs, which are more interchangeable, there are parallels that are like on the same track. Why am I even on parallels? Because of kindred forces. That's why. And there's something about kindred forces. Oh gosh. There's something about kindred forces and what do you call it? Like adoption? Right? Like let's say that someone travels or within a person's lineage, there's a connection that they have to some aspect of the divine. And then, like, there's a move, and then many generations later, it's almost like there's a kindred force that becomes the patron of that sort of family. Like, they kind of inherit, which is interesting. because I don't know. It's like the patron inherits the people rather than the people adopting a new patron, which is interesting. Of course, the will of life is at the bottom and the bread of life is at the cut, because why not? Mm. Oh, guess what card came out? Bottom of the deck is the will of life, because why not? The Sphinx destiny turning. The thing about kindred spirits, though, not kindred spirits, the thing about kindred forces, though, would be while there is a lot of overlap, there may be specifics that the overlap doesn't cover. Meaning, if someone had curried the favor of the divine in some way, even if it's like if someone had curried the favor of the divine in one place where the divine is known to move in certain ways, in another place the divine is not necessarily known to move in those ways, so they wouldn't know that the same favor that they have where they are, it's like they wouldn't necessarily know that they're entitled to more because it's just like not known. It's almost like assuming like someone's praying for like health and whatever. Like let's say someone's praying for health, and when they pray over someone's health drastically improves because hey, that's their lot in life. And it's almost like one day someone's like maybe they're going through like financial struggles or something, right? And someone that's in their in circle, so someone that knows, it's like hey, like every time you pray for like health, like someone's health improves or your health improves or whatever, like why can't you just pray for abundance, right? Like if you're experiencing financial ailments, why can't you pray to be financially healthy? And it's almost like one of those like the person's like, oh, like I never thought about that type of things, right? This is like a metaphor. I almost want to say this is a gross oversimplification, but it's that whole thing of like there's just something that like didn't transfer over, and either the I don't want to say contract because that feels a little extreme. It's like either someone would have to go to the original patron because it falls outside of the purview of their um, kindred patron, new patron, or it's just like something that they never thought to inquire about, pray over, ask for, that maybe they will be inspired to, right? And then the same patron will like honor that. Anyway, the card that came out, interestingly enough, is the Shining Dew, which is the Knight of Cups, which is waters and waves. So, yes, to the, I was like, because again, in my mind, I'm like, I feel like Venus and Anana Ishtar, there are so many like parallels to Venus and Anana Ishtar type energy. I was like, why am I going for like Neptune, Poseidon, and another water? You know what I mean? But then the waters and waves card comes out, and two cards came out face down. It's also interesting because just like we had the bread of life with the wheel of life, we have another like circular representation. In the bread of life, it was like a black box, it was a black orb. We didn't see what was in it. But in both the wheel of life and this shield of the shining dew, we actually see what's on the inside. Now, this is one element of the many represented here. And let me see. Excuse me. I am going to go into the Book of Maps to see if she plainly writes what is on the crest of the Shining Dew, because she is known to do that. She is known to do that. And by she is known to do that, I mean, obviously, she's done it. um, Vitruvian edition. Yes, this is the right edition. Let's go. Um, is it view mode? No. Is it view mode? Because there is a thing on the left where you actually outline. There we go. Goodness. There are like chapters. I love it. Becoming the Keeper. What an interesting section to grab my attention. About the Shining Ones. But this is just about them. It's not giving me. Now I see Kuan Yin or Maitreya or Maitreya. Okay. I feel like. Well, let me keep going. No. Um. Sorry. Oh, it's probably in the seven lower realms. No, it's probably in the seven upper realms. Aces, twos, threes. Yep, in the court cards. Here we go. Goodness. Holy Guardians of the Chalices. All right. And then let me go to the Shining Dew. I guess I'll read it. When this card appears in a divinatory reading, Spirit is telling you to sublimate what is deep within your psyche into the material world as creative or artistic product. Allow your soul to be visible. This is Spirit reminding you that you are sacred, and to express divinity is to express who you truly are. Okay. But, oh, here we go. Of the four knights, the Shining Dew is the only unicorn. The medallion in the foreground features an alchemical glyph for water. Encircling the outer edge of the medallion are the words Dabo Pacem and Finibus Vestris. I know Pacem is peace. I will grant peace in the land. And Gladius non transibit terminus vestros. The sword shall not go through your lands. From Leviticus 26 and 6. So I will grant peace in the land, and the sword shall not go through your lands. And it's interesting that that part of the sword came out, because as I was looking at like all these ropes and the sword that's there, it's like the sword could easily cut one of the ropes that are holding something in place. So it is a message of, and it's interesting because like the paw of that Sphinx holding the sword is right on top of Aquarius, which is the glyph, which is visually the same or similar to the glyph for water that's here. So it is an energy of like, as things are, but again, the whole thing with cookie number 2 is like seeing inside of the black box. there's some kind of insight, maybe, or maybe like a divine foresight, or just like your intuition will guide you in ways to see you safe, maybe throughout a storm or something like that. Like the sword shall not go through your lands. Just because the sword ain't going through your lands don't mean that it ain't gonna be swords flying around. You know what I mean? And also the other one, I will grant peace in the land. And I feel like there's just in reading the translations, one mentions the land in general, the other mentions your lands. I will grant peace in the land, and the sword shall not go through your lands. If both of these are true, there's almost an implication, it's almost implied that the sword will be necessary to grant peace to the land, but the sword will not go through your land. So I could do one of these, and I guess I'm gonna do one of these, where I'm gonna look before and after the sword and the well-known archetypes. Because I'm me, and that's how I read sometimes. I love that the unseen was like the last card, the last time I used this. There are still two cards that are face down. Face down, 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 down. Face down, 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 down. As the deck is, I'm going to look before and after the sword. The underworld, the offering, and Eros are at the bottom of the deck. I think it's the sword. It may be the blade, but I mean, it has a sword on it. I think it's the blade in the Mystical Shaman Oracle cards, but it's the sword in this deck. It's fine. No, that deck I am going to shuffle. Why would I shuffle that one and not this one? I don't know. We'll see when the cards come out. Wow. Before the sword is the self, and then there's the sword, and then there's the temple. So it is kind of sort of low key giving like my body is my temple type energy. But it's almost like every time I've heard someone mention that their body is their temple, there's a huge like emphasis and focus on like the physicality of their body, right? So it may be like, I don't have any piercings and I don't have any tattoos because my body is my temple. I'm not coming for anybody's belief. Or it may be like, I eat healthy and I exercise and I work out. I watch what goes into my body because my body is my temple. But like our heart and our mind and our spirit and our soul, like those things are also our temples. So like what goes into and comes out of our heart, what goes into and comes out of our mouths, what goes in, like how we show up in the world, right? Like all of that comprises our body because our body is more than just our flesh. But the self in the temple is like, okay. Tell me why, after last time I low key had the thought of like going into storage and getting the rest of my decks. That'd be too much. That would be way too much. Way too much. Okay, so there's these two that are still face down. Here's the Shining Waters. We have the Self, number 29. The Sword is number 62. The Temple is number 39. 29 and 39. Again, we have a difference of 10. Oh, the Wheel of Fortune, number 10, 29, 10, 39. But here, it's a 1, 0. Here, it's X's. Interesting. I am very interesting. I love resting. Can't get enough rest. I feel like I slept so much yesterday. I feel like I kind of didn't in the like, if I really look at it, but I felt like I slept yesterday because I just kept going to bed, going back to sleep. I was like, nah, I'm not ready to wake up yet. Anyway, as a complete aside, I'll do one of these and another shuffle, another one of those, and then a cut, and then I'll look before and after the blade. There's that. There's the cut. Bottom of the deck is Pachamama and Earth. Pachamama, Earth, and the Ghost Dance. I love this combination. Pachamama to me is like a living Earth. Earth to me is like if you take the soul out of Earth and it's just like the planet, I guess, or the ground beneath your feet. And I love the fact that the Ghost Dance is here because it's like this is the soul behind Earth that makes Pachamama. But because it's the combination in this way, it's almost like the soul of Earth has been separated from her body. Maybe not like literally, as if maybe not within the metaphor literally. Maybe it's like someone is separating. Oh, that's what I had that thought. Because I've been seeing more and more people will be like, why do people say like the universe? And like, or they'll, I've seen stuff that's like, I've never seen anyone pray to the universe, but like you'll pray to God or stuff like that. Like, why do people say the universe? And for me, and I've said it before, there's the creator and then there's the creator's creation, and the creator's creation, like there are machinations within the creation that are intended, but also the creation also holds pieces of the creator's soul and or intent, right? And so if it's just the machination of things, then like the universe feels appropriate, right? Like you could say the laws of manifestation and stuff like that, those are like built into the universe as is. You don't necessarily have to go to the creator to manifest something. You don't necessarily have to go to the creator to have a manifestation actualized, right? It's like if you manifest, pray about this thing, then like you'll receive opportunities, chances to bring that thing to life. And it's just kind of like the universe and how the universe works. Now, when it comes to like divine intervention or further processing and extra treatment and stuff like that, then that's when like the creator will get involved, right? Or that's when it goes beyond the simplicity of just the universe or the creation, right? So that's sort of like what I'm getting kind of here, right? So like the earth itself would be just how the world works, the universe, the machination, right? And then the ghost dance is like the soul behind everything. So that's when you start to tap more into like what the creator of the universe does, can do, can intervene, can like bypass, shortcut, expedite, delay the processing of like the universe. It can step in. You know what I mean? So it's not literally like the earth is dead and it's whatever. It's almost like this ability to differentiate one thing from the other, right? For example, you could say it's the ability to differentiate like cause and effect from divine intervention or from undivine intervention, right? Like there's a difference between like I did this thing and the direct result of the thing that I did is this. That's not whatever. That's just cause and effect, right? You didn't show up to work for 2 months and you didn't report to anybody, you got fired. That's no one working against you so that you lose your job or whatever. That's not the devil stealing your job. That's like you didn't show up to work and you got fired. That's cause and effect, right? But there are cases and instances, obviously, where things are more than just like cause and effect. And again, this is the ability to differentiate the two. Or I just took an extra sip. I know it's the same fortune cookie. I broke the rules. Well, I'm thirsty. I can get more water. Well, water is here. So to not drink water when water and waves is here would be like disrespectful to the energy. Anyway. Now, what's interesting about this is because again, that's the ability to differentiate two things. And we have the sword. I'm looking for the blade. The blade is separation. Here, the sword is in between the self and the temple. It's also interesting in Neptune. Oh, this is separation, though. Okay. And cookie number one, we saw the Neptune card. And Neptune had its hands like pressed in the water known alchemy on this gold. And when it pressed its hands on the gold, a beam of light shot out, right? Here we have the hands pressed together in the temple. But again, because this is the sword and the sword cleaves or separates, on the other side, we have the gold, which is the pearl. And the pearl is within the self. The hands are in the temple. Now, there is a low hanging fruit here that's like realizing that the house of the divine truly is within us and it's not an institution or a place or a location. But that feels like a way to interpret it. It doesn't necessarily feel like the way to interpret it this time. Or there's another interpretation that we're going to continue with. Interesting. Okay. I mean, I'm still looking for the blade. Right. And so if we're looking at like Pachamama, Earth, and the ghost dance, it's like God doesn't exist within the four walls of the church, or the four walls of the church alone aren't enough to sort of like welcome in the presence or demand the presence of God. It's like it's the whole, it's the people, it's, the temples that are within the temple. So we have the sorcerer, number 48, which is before, the blade, number 6, and then the moon after, which is 37. We got 36 and 37. No, sorry, we got 39 and 37. I got ahead of myself. Tree of Life and the Holy Mountain, 5825. Interesting cards to be on the other, like on, opposite sides. Tree of Life and the Holy Mountain. Almost I wanted to look before and after the Tree of Life in. I'm not gonna do it. In the Tarot of Dreams. I'm not gonna do it. If the Tree of Life had come out, then maybe, but it didn't. It's interesting that the moon is here though. Again, low key shout out to cookie number one. But excuse me, in both of these, we see the phases of the moon. We see it here, and then obviously we see it there. And they may be different. She's giving rotary phone energy. If you know, you know. I can't speak from personal experience. I was gonna say I don't know if I've ever seen a rotary phone in real life, but I have. I don't know if it's been connected, but I know I've like done the whole. I think I have a memory of doing the rotary phone thing, but I'm like, was that a memory of something that like actually happened? You know what I mean? Or like, did I have a dream one time or something? I feel like it happened in real life. I know it wasn't connected to anything, but I'm pretty sure in a historical museum or something, somewhere I've seen a rotary phone. I feel like I saw one in Maine, but maybe not. I could be wrong. I could be mistaken. The sorcerer is interesting. The sorcerer is someone with innate power. Oh, ooh, okay. Yeah. And it was on the self. Okay, okay, okay. The innate power is within the self. And there's like I clocked the rainbows at first. Because spoiler alert, Stranger Things. But there's this whole in the show, this whole differentiation between a wizard and a sorcerer. A sorcerer is someone with innate power. And it could be like bloodline, lineage. It could be, oh, interesting. Because there was like the whole patron thing, right? A patron has adopted a people's rather than the people's adopting a new patron. Um, and we have this separation. Take it if it resonates. If it don't resonate, don't take it. This is a thought experiment. We'll call it. Hi, Holly. How you doing? Um. So, I'm sorry. I've been in a phone booth. I know that. I have a picture next to a phone booth. Have I been to a phone booth in the US? Maybe when I was a child. I have no memory. But there are places where phone booths are definitely still a thing. Um, Places in the US, I know, but I just haven't been to any. Anyway, with this whole separation, again, it's almost considered a thought experiment. It's like there are things, it's almost like there are things that like people used to pray for or people used to go to the divine for, but it's like the divine has outsourced it to like people, right? Or it doesn't even necessarily have to be that. It could be that the divine will use us to stand in. The divine will use us as a medium for it to work through to answer like other people's prayers. It's given that energy. Like someone went to the temple to find something, but it came through an individual. And because the sorcerer is here clarifying the self, the sorcerer's self, it is a power, it is a gift that is innate within that person. It's something that the person was, oh, even look, right there's that. And then we have this here. And they're both given like silhouette, even though we can't see some of her features. It's innate within the person. Now, on the side of the temple is the moon. And again, it's a feeling of like not finding salvation within the temple because the temple is just four walls. And the presence of the divine within the temple depends on the staff. It depends on the people. It depends on the whole vibe, right? There are many temples that venerate. There are many places dedicated to the divine that the divine is not present in because it's like in name only, right? It's almost like blasphemous. You could say it is a form of blasphemy where it's like there is like it's a place dedicated to the divine, but that does not operate in accordance, in alignment, in alliance with the divine at all. It's one of those like in name only types of things. It's like someone who makes a church to like just get a tax write off. You know, some people will have an LLC, some people will make a business, some people create churches and they expense everything through the church so that it's tax free. They get a tax write off. It's whatever. Not obviously, not everyone. Obviously, like that is the case in scenario in which someone is specifically using the cover or front of a church using the name of the divine to experience some kind of gain. And it's like the divine is nowhere in that. And the moon here sort of symbolizes their ability to get away with it. Like some people may clock it, some people may subscribe to it. Cool. Obviously, there's like three cards. I mean, I pulled before and after, but even in the first deck, like one came out face up, two came out face down. The Holy See, not the Holy See. And this deck in particular, this is those places where people are scamming. This is the church where the person behind it like wants the tax write off and they want to, you know, whatever. What's interesting is, oh my gosh, I didn't even catch it when I first saw it. Sacred Cinnabar is behind it, which is the Ace of Swords, which symbolizes the truth, but it's a sword. It was right here face down the whole time. The sword, the blade, the sacred cinnabar. But this is a sword, a shield, and a crown. When I look at the ace of swords in a deck, I always look at how far the crown is from the hilt of the sword. Because this is where you actually hold the sword. So if the crown is like floating above the sword, where we interact with the sword, that's like something, it's a truth that goes like way over our heads. You know what I mean? It's like we get it, but we don't really get it. But when it's this close, it's like it's a truth that is like in hand. Not only do we understand the truth, but we like know what this truth means and we know how we can leverage the truth to do whatever. And again, this is leverage. If you didn't see Cookie One, this is leverage in the same way that like manipulate and control came up earlier. It's not leveraging the truth in a way to like use like to blackmail somebody or to like use the truth to whatever. Excuse me, it's just like leveraging the truth in terms of like you know what is true and you know what is not true, so you know what you don't have to subscribe to type energy, you know what I mean? It's like if someone's like, hey, yeah, if you want to ride the elevator, there's like it's like the seniors, the upperclassmen that sell elevator passes to the freshmen. And they're like, yeah, elevator passes are $20. And you buy an elevator pass and then you get in trouble for using the elevator because the elevator isn't for students. And it's like, yeah, but I bought an elevator pass. And it's like, okay. that just because you got scammed into buying an elevator pass doesn't mean that you get to ride the elevator. Like, and it's like if the school didn't sell you the elevator pass, the school is also not responsible for giving you your money back. It's like you got scammed. Sorry. Maybe your financial institution, if you used a card, can refund that. But if you used cash, that may be cash lost. This is also an interesting combination for peace will be brought to the land, and the sword will not harm your lands. And I'm not getting into a sword and the Hierophant and all of that mess. I should have known the Hierophant was there because when I was reading that, was it The Shining Dew? And it mentioned Maitreya, and I'm pretty sure it was. It mentioned Maitreya and someone else. So in the Vitruvian edition, this is the Holy See. But in the Revelations edition, it may be the Hierophant. And in the Revelations edition, it is the proper Hierophant. In the Vitruvian edition, it is the one that is representative of things that are divine in name only, things that parade and masquerade and claim to be, but in reality, now am I going to look before and after the Holy See in that deck? No, because it's already been like over half an hour. That's not the only reason. And because of the other cards that came out, I would almost interpret this more as a maybe someone has subscribed to for a while. And maybe it is like the patron thing, right? With kindred forces, it's like if someone has the favor of the divine because they are truly, because they embody the truth of divinity, I almost wish I had used like a metaphor. It's like, let's say the sorceress self, someone, their expression of divinity, the true expression of their divinity is innate within them. So even if they go to a scammy temple, the divine will still move through them, right? Because they are who they are. And the divine has granted their favor, its favor to them, even if like the staff and the whole organization is devoid of that divine touch, is void of that divine touch, the self, the individual, like the divine will still maintain that connection to them. So it's almost, because again, the sword, the blade is here. Maybe someone thinks that if they stop following a certain individual or a certain church or a certain belief or whatever, that it will jeopardize like their relationship. But it's like the truth is, it was never the institution, it was always within the self. It was always a personal relationship with the self. And when it's a personal relationship, it doesn't matter like where you go. So someone could separate themselves from something or could be forced into a separation in one way or another and not have to worry about anything, even though it's almost like the concern is there or the concern may be there. Maybe someone is like, well, if this person is like, if the news comes out and like this person is like a scam or whatever, then like, well, what does that mean for me and like how I've been operating with the divine? Like, I really thought the divine was like present with me and like moving and like I really, and it's like, Like, just because, again, the institution was what it was, or just because it's revealed, because the moon is here, what's in the dark, done in the dark comes to the light eventually, doesn't mean that an individual's connection to the divine is not real, right? It's like Rihanna. You found the divine in a sinful place. I don't know. We ain't got to get to whatever. You found the divine in a devoid place, and that's real. There are three swords here. Again, two of them I went looking for because of the thing, but the Ace of Swords was already here. It was face down. That's like so cool to me. Anyway, and again, like I was like, let me go into the book of maps to like see what this Latin is and to get the translation. And again, like it was right here. It's all here. The sorcerer itself. The sorcerer itself in the temple of the moon. And it's yeah. Cool. All right. Did I get final cards on the last one? I don't think I did. I think I just put them away. I mean, just because I didn't do final cards on the last one doesn't mean I can't do final cards here, right? Like the last one didn't feel like it was to go any further, so that's partially why I didn't get final cards. And so it's almost, I don't know, that's so interesting. It's almost like because if it's for you, because you were where you were, the divine showed up, right? And I feel like there are so many iterations of this in terms of like in a partnership or something, like you were the one that is favored by the divine. So when someone was with you, they flourished and they thought it was because of them and their efforts or their whatever. And they got, so it is kind of given like Empress, the Empress makes the emperor and not vice versa type energy. Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. I mean, this is what it is. So it could be that. And then it's like, they get full of themselves. They think it's all them. They end things. They like all that they had begins to crumble while you still like thrive or whatever because you were the one that like that favor was granted to, and it was granted to them, or they experienced a portion of it through extension of you because of who you are and how you shows up and because the divine's favor is with you type energy, right? And that could be in a partnership, that could be in a company, that could be like your purview, I want to say, or how far that extends. Again, it radiates from the self. It's not the temple. And so when you are removed, the whole presence is removed, right? And so with those three cards, it's like you were the thing that brought the spirit to the earth that made it into Pachamama. But when that separation happens, it's like the truth is revealed and the spirit, it continues to travel with you because it was always with you type energy. The mystical shaman and the child. Ever since you were a child, and the elders in your family, and any elder that was an elder would know. There's something special about you, child. If only special children had easy lives. You know what I mean? Why is it always like someone is special and they experience difficulty? maybe that's not the case. The spiral. I had an interesting little mental journey about the spiral yesterday. I went on a walk yesterday. Long story short, because I love to say that we don't necessarily have to experience spirals. I think because of the way we navigate life, spirituality, and a lot of stuff, we encounter a lot of things over and over and over, and we over time have just come under the assumption that that's just the way things are. And it's like, even if that's the case, it's like you could close the loop so efficiently that the spiral becomes like a knot on, like, if you pull it, then the spiral becomes like a knot. And if it's fine enough, it could basically be like invisible. Or like you don't even necessarily feel the night knot because you pull it so tight or because the thing is so tight. Right. So you close the loop, you close the spiral. And it doesn't even it goes from like a bump in the road to a pebble to a speck of dust that like you don't even notice as you're walking or moving, driving, wherever you're going, however you are being mobile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the last half in my mouth. I'm going to eat it, mute it, and show you the final card for you to interpret as you will. All right, I said I was going to do it that way, but it didn't take me as long to eat the cookie. So anyway, so the stone, the crone, and Alethea. The kisses. Oh, the stone and the kiss. There's this whole story about the stone and the kiss on this channel. I'm not gonna get into it. Yeah, sure. Basically, Maleficent. I've never seen the Maleficent movies. I don't even know if I've seen Sleeping Beauty, but I have I I can infer from what I know of people who've seen it. It's kind of very similar. There was a king and a queen, and they had this wedding, and the crone showed up, and they're like, "Ew!" And the crone is like, "I brought a gift," and they're like, "Ooh!" And then the crone gives the queen a stone, and she's like, "Ew! Get her out of here!" The whole kingdom is cursed. There is a daughter that is born that inherits the curse, or the house she's born into is cursed. I guess it kind of falls in line, right? Um, her sorceress self, the divine, is thriving within her, even though the land she is born into is cursed, right? She meets with the crone, gets sent on this whole journey, meets a frog. The frog is actually a prince, but it's like a whole kingdom of frogs. And the frog prince was in the same situation, born into a cursed whatever, but he excels beyond whatever. These two lights get married. The crone shows up again after, the curses are broken. And the crone asks the queen if she still has the stone. And the queen is like, "Of course I have the stone. This is like the source of the curse," and blah, 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 whatever. And the stone is revealed to be like some diamond or something. It becomes the ring. And it's like the whole time it was that thing, but the queen was so vain, she didn't see it. And like her whole, that's the story. The long and short of it. So Alethea like a card that symbolizes the truth being with the crone, and then like the stone and the kiss and the mask behind the stone. What an interesting combination. It's like seeing the truth of who the crone was. And so you could say it's almost like it's never taking that cursed pathway. You could say. Because someone recognizes the first time. And look, even here, like it's gold. The queen sees it as the stone as this worthless thing, but in truth and reality, it was this. And yeah, that's what the final archetype is. Can we see beyond, and even the crown, right? When it comes to feminine beauty standards and stuff like that, especially when it comes to like age and stuff like that, right? When it comes to the value of people in general, but specifically women, can we see beyond the facades and the, um, I want to say like, not enforced shallowness or whatever, but can we see beyond that to the truth of, you know, the whatever? Oh, look, the sorcerer at the cut with the buffalo? With thunder, sorry. But is she like not giving white buffalo calf woman? What do I know about white buffalo calf woman? Cool. All right, final mystical shaman oracle card. Final oracle card from the mystical shaman oracle cards. Please reveal yourself to me for me to share with the folks at home, with whoever's tuned into this at whatever time they're tuned into it. I'll give it 3 more. 2, 1. And I'll always do the 0, so it makes it 1 more than what it was, and I'll cut it. Bottom of the deck is Soul Retrieval, but no card came out. Because of the sorceress self, we know that this Soul Retrieval is someone getting back to a part of themselves. And it's always that, you could say. But especially so here. Cool. All right. Oh my. Let's timestamp 1 for it's been an hour. Cookie 2 took an hour. 143. Oh, I didn't even put 1. 143. I'll say 45. Oh, that's an L. 143.50 because it's probably basically 144 now. 143.37. Well, it'll give me some time to open the cookie, I guess. It said 130.43 for so long. I thought it had to be longer. I was gonna mute this. Oh well. Oh, a fortune. There's a fortune. Because the first 4 cookies I ate did not have fortunes. I ate 2 personally, 2 on camera, and this one has a fortune. So out of the, I ate 5, there were 2 more. 3 out of 7 of them had fortunes. I'm like so excited now. Sorry. Whoa. 141, 43, 48, 52, and 60. I was going to be like, pick a random number between like 1 and 50 because I've never seen a fortune cookie that has numbers over 50. And this is like, well, I was thinking like maybe 1 in 40 because I was like 30 something, 40 something, maybe, but 30s. Only one number. It's like 41, 43, 48, 52, and 60. Crazy. Mm-hmm. It won't focus. I drank water after I finished the last cookie, but not before I started. It's fine. I don't know if I even read it. This fortune says fun usually brings ideas along for the ride. Lucky numbers again 1, 41, 43, 48, 52, and 60. That's 1, 5, 7, 3, 7, and 6. 1, 5, 7, 3, 7, 6. 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6, 10, 13, 17, 25, 38, which is maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Let's ask Google, which is, I won't reduce it, but it is a 2. Hey, Google, what is 1 plus 41 plus 43 plus 48 plus 52 plus 60?
The sum of 1 plus 41 plus 43 plus 48 plus 52 plus 60 is 245.
245, 2 plus 9, 11. I don't know why 245 almost feels significant. It's 304 right now. So maybe go back like 20 minutes. Maybe if you go back 20 minutes, something significant will be there. I never got the final card from the SK2 for Vitruvian Edition. That's fine. I don't. Fun usually brings ideas along for the ride. So I feel like Loki, I just hit like a wall. Maybe that means I'm not having fun because I'm not having any ideas. No. I do need to like, I don't know. I just feel all of a sudden like kind of lethargic and heavy. You know what I mean? And I guess it's interesting because the whole fortune is fun usually brings ideas along for the ride. So if someone's, it's almost like heaviness has a compounding effect where it's like not only are we not having fun, enjoying things, but also mentally, it's like we may not have the capacity, not only not having the capacity to like think of things that we would enjoy, to think of a solution if we're having problems, but it's also like mechanically, we could be in a space of like not doing things to like make us feel better that would like actively make us feel worse, right? So it's like this compounding that sort of happens. Now I could use. I'm gonna get the Happy Tarot because there's like unicorns and rainbows and lollipops and stuff like that. So bear with me. It should be up here. I feel like I've used it. I feel like I've seen it. I feel like it should be here, but I have been wrong before. Okay, well, it's not there. Hello. And it's funny because my brother got a fortune that was similar, but his mentioned play. This one mentions fun. Fun, fun, fun. Is that the song? Do, 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 do. Or is it sun, sun, sun? Obviously, if I don't even know the words, I do not own the copyright to that song. Don't demonetize my not monetized channel, please. Oop! I'm sorry. Then it's over here. If it's not over there, then it must be over here. Here's the tarot of rainbows. Or tarot at the end of the rainbow. They should be together. Hello? They should be together. I don't know why they would be separate. Separate. They should be together. I don't know why they wouldn't be together. Okay. Well, I know I had it. Oh, it's right here. Okay. I have located the Happy Tarot. This is what we will use because why not? Fun usually brings ideas along for the ride. Fun usually brings ideas along for the ride. Oh, I don't know. Knights from, or I don't know, kings from queens in this deck. Maybe it won't matter. Maybe those will be the cards I get. Shout out to Matthew for the Happy Tarot and the Stranger Things Tarot, I'm pretty sure, and the Demogorgon Funko Pop and the Tarot at the end of the rainbow. Sorry. All right. What is my impression of this? Again, I feel like it's just like heavy. I feel it in my chest. I feel like this weight on my chest or in my chest. It almost makes it kind of hard to breathe, and not necessarily like, oh yeah, a little bit. Someone like can't catch a break. Again, it just feels like it speaks to like there are so many things that we could know that are good for us mentally, right? Like if we enjoy walks and time outside of nature and whatever. And then we get in a funk or we get in a mood and like we don't have the energy or the desire to like go on walks or to go out in nature. And it's almost like the very things that we kind of know would help us. It's not that we actively avoid. But on the flip side of that, excuse me, it is a little bit of a like take a step away from the canvas. Sorry. It is a little bit of take a step away from the canvas, get a breath of fresh air. And it's like when you take your mind off of the thing, then the solution can find you. Type. Right? Cool. All right. Bottom of the deck is the Knight of Swords. I actually want the Knight of Swords and the High Priestess and Death. The Knight of Swords, High Priestess, and Death. With the Nine of Pentacles under that. Is this going to be the heavy one? Oof. That feels heavy. Because it's almost like, imagine the High Priestess is like the box art for this deck. But not as we see her on the card. Which is very interesting. Because I feel like usually the box art, like, they're depicted the same. But not here. There was a little bit of overlap between this one and the last one because, like, I drank the water after I ate the cookie, not necessarily before I ate this one. But technically, yes, but before the timestamp for this one. Because, and in the second one, it was a little bit like, even if the tower comes, like, someone's lands will be spared, right? The saying was in the Knight of Cups, now we have the Knight of Swords, the sayings translated to, I will grant peace in the land, and the sword shall not go through your lands. So there was this implication that the sword is going to be used to grant peace to a land, but through someone's personal lands, that sword should, like, shall not go through them. And with that Knight of Swords, it's almost like there's like this truth that someone was waiting for, or there was like a word that someone was waiting for, and they like really expected it to like land in a certain way. But with the High Priestess and Death, like, it did not land in the way that someone necessarily thought it would land, which led to a lot of that heaviness. Whoa! Oh, but yeah, I mean, snow is appropriate for. Not that that's any less surprising, but like, it was snowing so much when I wasn't here, and I haven't seen any accumulation since I've been here. Not necessarily, not saying I don't want snow, but also not necessarily saying I do. It's just like I feel like it was snowing so much when I wasn't here, and now there's no snow. Um, but yeah, that is a little bit like. And it's interesting because the Knight of Swords was a prominent figure, I think, in the last one. Because it was the Knight of Swords and the Five of Swords, and I was like, the first time it was the Page of Swords, and it read as the Knight of Swords because someone wasn't as because they're not as naive as the Page of Swords, they had more credibility. But because they weren't the king or the queen, they weren't so emotionally detached from the news or the verdict or the truth that they were delivering, that it like didn't personally affect them. But maybe it's the heaviness of this. It's like, Papa, what? Um, yeah, this truth is like, I don't know. Maybe it's something that somebody thought they wanted until they find out that they in fact don't. And it's like, whoa. And it's like, yeah, but like, what did you think? The Knight of Swords. I wanted to read this. You can find happiness if you control your impatience. Oh, well, maybe someone's like, yeah, tell him. Yeah, tell him. Tell him. And then it's like, okay, but like, and then it's like, it doesn't work in their favor. And it's like, oh. And it's like, yeah. The Four of Pentacles is over here. Is this going to be the rough one? He continues to ask himself. But have fun, right? Maybe you'll get an idea if you have fun. Where did the fortune go? Where did I put it? Was it like fun usually brings ideas along for the ride or something like that? I don't know where I put the fortune. The Seven of Cups, the corruptor, is at the bottom of the deck over here. All right, it's fine. I believe it was fun usually brings ideas along for the ride. Ooh, okay. We have an immediate trio of cards. Bottom of the deck is the Three of Wands. I feel like usually the Three of Wands aren't usually spaced this evenly. So they look less like bars. I'm like, where did I put that fortune? Excuse me. We have the Knight of Wands, the Queen question mark of Cups. I knew I was gonna get a king or a queen. As soon as I was like, I don't know. I can't tell. And the Six of Pentacles. The Knight of Wands, the Queen of Cups, and the Six of Pentacles. I was gonna hold it like this. Oops. I feel like the Knight of, if there's any, especially Major Arcana, if there's any, or not Major Arcana, court cards, if there's any court card that is associated with having fun, it's the Knight of Wands. Now, the shadow of the Knight of Wands is usually, it's like irresponsible, immature, it doesn't care who it hurts. It's just like here to have a good time. But it's like that is the card of having fun. And the fortune, I believe, funny how it just like disappeared, was fun usually brings ideas along for the ride. Then you have this Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups is the intuitive one. And then you have the Six of Pentacles, which is a card of receiving. Right? So it's like if you could have fun and enjoy whatever, then your intuition would kick in and you would receive whatever you need to receive. But with this Three of Wands in particular, it's an energy where like the future feels like a prison, or like someone holds a bleak outlook. And maybe it's just like someone has been in, it's either like been in their own head for so long or has been carrying whatever for so long. It's like without that breaker, without that reprieve, then they kind of forget, right? Like it's easy to have a certain experience, especially for an extended period of time, and to kind of get like lost in it to the point where we may forget that like life exists outside of our current circumstance and situation, or that like even within our own lives, like there were times that were different before than the times we're experiencing now. So like we know it's possible to experience differently. And it's like just this reminder, or I almost want to say a plea for us to like just do something that we enjoy enough to like alleviate the burden at least a little bit, and then it's like something can find us. Yeah, it's almost like change your mind, change your life, but because of the approach to get here, it's also a reminder of like if we know things that like help us or things that are good for us mentally, emotionally, like good for our psyche and our mental emotional well-being, then it's like do that, right? Like let's say like nature is someone's thing, and like they've been so busy with whatever, things have been so hectic that they haven't had time to get out in nature. Then it's like if you know that it's something that's like healing, it's for you, soothes your soul, your mind, it's like make the time to get out in nature at least once, and to like really be like do your best to not only like get out but become more and more present while you're out there. And then maybe see, I I would love, I hesitate to be like, yeah, get out in nature, like really be present. And as soon as like you can start to let the stuff go, then a solution will find you. And it'll be just like you'll have your epiphany moment. Because it's like, I don't know, it feels a little weighty, right? Someone was like, oh, Pedrick, I went out into nature and like I lost myself in the woods and I got no solution. I just like went home and like my problems were still there. It's like, girl, that's why I'll read what's on the table. The fortune said, fun usually brings ideas along for the ride. Usually, not always. Usually. And with the Six of Pentacles, this Six of Pentacles is so interesting to me because I'm looking at it and I'm like this person barely on a balcony, tossing the coins from the balcony, hoping this person would catch it. Or not hoping, just like leaving them for the. It's almost giving me like, you know, if you go to a parade and they're like throwing candy and beads and stuff, it's almost giving that energy. But there's something that's like kind of removed because the person with the scales throwing the coins is up on a balcony, and usually they're on like an even, they're on the same ground. Maybe like the person is standing, and then the people are like kneeling to receive. And so it is almost this energy of like acknowledging that like yes there is an obstacle, or yes there is something like things aren't on even ground, but it's not necessarily as extreme as we may think, right? Like they could potentially stretch their tiny arms and like, or like this person could bend down, that person could reach up and like yes it's an acknowledgement that there is an obstacle, there is something to overcome, but that it's not insurmountable, right? Meaning maybe the intuition brings something that for us to take action on or for us to pursue, and it may not be comfortable, especially if we are in a mental headspace that we're in, but it's by no means like impossible or like insurmountable. It may be uncomfortable, maybe, may not be, right? Because at the same time that reprieve could be the like almost like the break we needed to like really like get it like a burst of energy, you know what I mean? Let's get, I almost want to get an oracle. Let's get one more, maybe. Okay, let's go face down. Oh, Okay, that caused a lot of ruckus. It's the Seven of Wands. I feel like this is the most backed into a corner looking Seven of Wands card I've ever seen. And it's like the person has one shoe. They look very worried. And usually, bottom of the deck is the Ace of Cups. But it looks like the cloud is bringing this cup and it's like about to spill out. I was like, whoa! And the cloud's just like having fun. Meanwhile, this Seven of Cups is like, or Seven of Wands. Oh my gosh. This Seven of Pentacles. Oh, really? The Seven of Wands is like feeling backed into a corner. They're like, oh my gosh, can you not? It's like if you're like in a really serious sort of like this is going on and I need help. And someone's like, oh my gosh, yeah, I have exactly what you need right here. Like, oh, I almost dropped it. And you're like when your nerves are fried and you're just like, oh my gosh, can you please? Like, can you please not right now? Like I am barely keeping it together. Type energy. And they're just like, have fun with it. You know what I mean? Like, why are you so serious? Why are you so tense? Everything's gonna be okay. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And then the Ten of Wands is like immediately behind this Ace of Cups. So yeah. What's interesting about this Ten of Wands though is just like that, just like the Seven of Wands is the only one where the person is like almost depicted as like backed into a corner. This Ten of Wands is one of the very few that I have, the only one that I can recall, where the destination isn't in sight. Usually, like the castle, the town, the village is like right, it's like on the horizon. But here there's nothing. I would dare to say that just because it's not seen doesn't mean it's not there. I feel like this is supposed to be encouraging. Maybe I'm just not the Mardi Gras. Maybe I'm just like not the whatever, you know. If you want an encouraging reading, go somewhere else. Maybe not. Maybe you're not that bad. But yeah, it feels like it almost plays into that. Like if someone feels backed into a corner, kind of at the end of the rope, and like there's no hope in sight. It's almost like the thing itself is so out of left field or out of the blue, like someone would not have seen it. And even if they knew that it was coming, it's like they wouldn't have any reason to believe it. Type energy. But just because we don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. And just because we don't know when it's going to happen doesn't mean it won't happen. And like the burden as a human being that is also living life, I can imagine the burden of like, well, how long am I supposed to be like having fun? You know what I mean? It's like I'm still having fun. It's been a whole week of fun, and I don't see. I'm still not. I'm still having fun. Yeah, I'm still not thinking about the stuff that's right there. You know. Um, and it's just like, yeah, the clouds will part. the sun will come out when it comes out, and it's gonna be something at some point in our story that's like in the past. Maybe we'll be able to like laugh about how stressed we were or whatever. This is very like the divine will never give you more than you can bear type energy. There's another phrase that's coming to my mind, but it's like incomplete. It's like if the divine brought you to it, it'll see you through it type energy. Um, yeah. And besides that, I don't know what else I can put on top of this. Let's read the Seven of Wands, Pentacles, Cups, Wands. Being challenged gives you an opportunity to test your strategic skills. You have the high ground, so stay calm and deal with your challenges one by one. You can find happiness by standing your ground. So there's almost, because again, the thing was like fun usually brings ideas along for the ride or something like that. It's almost like if you can approach it as a challenge, like you don't even have to completely. All right, you too, Holly. All the best with shoveling, and hope that you don't have to shovel multiple times. Like if you shovel and it keeps snowing, so you got to shovel again. Yeah. Stay warm. Don't slip. Um, so yeah, it's like if someone could approach it as a challenge, and it's not necessarily like it's not that it's not fun, but it's almost like there's a way to approach the challenge without the weight that it currently holds that almost invites creativity, right? It's like it doesn't make the situation any less difficult. Like if, for example, maybe you feel trapped in something, right? But it's almost like if you were in an escape room, right? There would still be like pressure of a time running out or like frustration at not finding the whatever. But it's like if you like have fun with the challenge, it would inspire creativity, right? And like, oh, like I haven't checked over here, or I haven't tried this, or blah blah blah, whatever, right? It almost invites creativity. It invites solutions when we approach it as something to be solved rather than something looming and impending and something that we have like no control over and whatever. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm not necessarily communicating that the best. But yeah, it's like it's a way to sort of have fun, even if it's a way to have fun without the pressure of making something heavy light, right? It can be like, man, like this sucks and whatever, but like if I approach it as a challenge, like what can I do that I haven't do? What can I try that I haven't tried? What resources do I have at my disposal that I've been so like in my own head that I haven't even thought to sort of like tap into or use or whatever. And then we may find that one of those things is the very thing, right? And so maybe just like the solution may be a bit of a stretch. It's like the approach or the attitude can be a bit of a stretch. It doesn't have to be a leap into like, well, let me like just enjoy how sucky things are right now. And like, let me put on the rose tinted glasses and go full Piscean Neptune delusion. You know what I mean? I'm not really here. Like maybe it doesn't have to be that extreme. It can just be an approach of like approach it as a challenge, right? Like what haven't you tried? What nooks, crannies, avenues, pathways have you not explored? What's you know, you have three lifelines. Have you used any of them? Maybe you can phone a friend that will know exactly what's going on, or maybe it's a pop culture question and you got a lot of Gen Z in the audience. So if you poll the audience, I don't know, bro. You ain't got to get too specific. Or you can use a 50-50. You know what I mean? And sometimes, even with the 50-50, or even when we do something that doesn't work, sometimes it'll like maybe it's related to something and we reach out to a resource and they're like, because of this, I can't help in this specific situation. If everything was the same but this was not a factor, then we could do something. Maybe that in and of itself highlights, illuminates, elucidates to you like the linchpin of this whole scenario, and maybe the this is something that you can take care of, or you have another avenue to which through which you can address that. You know what I mean? And then everything sort of falls into order, type of energy. Yeah. Gosh, I feel like I'm feeling a little lighter. You know what I mean? Love that. I feel like we got there. I hope we got there because that's what I got. That's what I got to give. All right. All right. Am I going to get a final card? No, not for this in particular, but I will get final cards for all the decks for which I did not get final cards. And I'm going to drink the rest of the water. Oh, wait. I still got to eat the other half of the fortune cookie. Yeah. All right. Final cards for the decks for which I have not already pulled final cards. Ooh, girl. Judgment with the Queen of Wands at the bottom of the deck. Why is this low key giving like Simba, remember who you are? This is again, oh, like, right? The clouds will part and the sun will shine again. But it's almost like somebody like really forgot who they were. And they're like, oh yeah, like, hello. Or it's like, I don't want to say every dog has its day or has its day. And then the Five of Pentacles and the Seven of Swords. Something, I don't know why lately I love interpreting the Seven of Swords as like something that doesn't have to be a fight. It doesn't have to be a struggle. And it's like it's almost like it's not until we realize that something doesn't have to be a fight that it de-escalates a whole lot of stuff. Right. And so maybe again that plays into the whole like somebody remembering who they are. even if there was like separation, isolation, stuff like that, Five of Pentacles, Seven of Swords, it's like, but when you like remember who you are, it's almost like if it's like realizing that something that you lost, like you didn't even want. You know what I mean? It's almost like if you really think about it, you would realize that, like, yeah, you just lost this thing that used to be like really significant to you, but also at the same time, it's like you haven't thought about that thing in years. You know what I mean? Or it's like it's something that you've like long outgrown. It's just been collecting dust, and it's almost giving veggie. No, no, it's almost. I'm so me. I'm not gonna blame a specific uh astrological placement. Like it's almost giving Veggie Tales Larry Silly Songs the hairbrush, right? When Larry's like, "Where's my hairbrush? Oh, where's my hairbrush?" And all of these different vegetables show up. They're like, "Why do you need a hairbrush? You don't have any hair. I think I saw a hairbrush back there." And then one of the vegetables is like, "Hey, I gave your hairbrush to somebody that needs it." And every time I watch that before, I'm like, how are you just gonna give somebody else's hairbrush to somebody that needs it without a conversation, without permission? And if the person need a hairbrush that bad, why don't they have one? Why didn't you get that person a hairbrush that wasn't stolen from me? But now it's like this energy that's low key like in the song, like he realizes he doesn't need the hairbrush, right? So it's like all of the even justifiable whatever aside, it's sort of realizing it's someone, it could be like forgiveness. I almost want to say it's someone like utilizing forgiveness as a tool to liberate themselves and just like realizing, hey, like this actually doesn't matter. It's not going to be the only way. Maybe I loved it for what it was for so long, but like I haven't really used it in a while. And it was time to replace it anyway. Because if I think about it, it was getting gross. It was getting moldy. It was, it was running rough. It was like less and less efficient. And, it's one of those, something could be like if it breaks, it's just time to replace it. We can celebrate it for what it was, but, obviously it's time to get something new, right? Type energy. And then it's almost like if we take that approach, maybe we will discover that it was a gift. It was a blessing in disguise, right? Room was made for something better, something more suitable, something more uh, modern or with the times. And modern in terms of like something real and not like modern beyond just a preference. Like again, imagine there's like someone that has a gas stove and the gas that was used in this particular model we found out is like harmful to people. And it's like maybe there's new gas stoves that use gas that's not as harmful to people. And it's like, man, like I don't want an electric. I don't want the convective, whatever. Like I miss my gas, whatever. I want gas. And it's like, they still got gas. Just like gas that's not going to kill you like 20 years sooner. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, I didn't know that. And it's like, yeah, of course you didn't know that because you were holding on so tightly to what you had that you didn't want to lose or replace because you didn't like any of the alternatives, but you were so stubbornly against like electric and convective whatever that you never did the research to realize that they have safer gas stoves. So you could have kept your gas and like still upgraded and not be suffering. Type of energy. Cool. Now let's go to the girl. Oh no! This is look, the Seven of Wands again. This version is not in print anymore. I cannot be messing up these cards. No. I don't think I did, but my fingernail caught on that card. Ooh. Oh, look, the Destroyer. Ten of Swords. All right, final card from the SKT. Vitruvian Edition. I love how I say final card. Well, I think I type final cards. I was going to say I love how I say final card and it's always multiple. Usually it's multiple. Final card or cards. Ooh, that made some noise, but it did not flip. Ooh, that was a dirty flip. I think it was the Eminence, Nine of Pentacles. And I did see the Nine of Pentacles in the Happy Tarot. I think that was the Four of Wands dirty flip, and we saw the Four of Wands in the Dream Tarot Dreams with that opening door. The Nine of Wands, the Malaise. Moon in Sagittarius, Four of Wands, Venus in Aries at the bottom of the deck, with the Empress, Venus behind that. The Malaise, the Demiurge, and the Empress. I feel like this is just more of like our attitudes can shape and inform our reality. And it's like the difference between an optimist and a pessimist could just be that the pessimist gives up before the optimist has their epiphany or gets their big break. Right? And it's not necessarily misery loves company. It's almost like sadness begets sadness or joy begets joy. But because it's the malaise, it's more of an emphasis on the rougher emotions. Right. And it's like, let's say we are in a certain mindset and something happens. And it's like, if we weren't in that mindset, then we would be swept up in the thing that happens. Right. So let's say, for example, we're sad and there's something that happens, like maybe someone, like we eat our favorite food. And usually that would like make us happy or whatever. I'm a Taurus moon. Don't come for me. um, like usually it would make us happy or whatever, but we're so sad that like the thing that would make us happy doesn't. And so it's like that, but it applies to a lot of things where even if we have those same experiences, it doesn't affect our mood. Now, let's say that we're like in a really good mood and something happens that's like a bump in the road, like we're having a really really great day and we get cut off in traffic, and we hate getting cut off in traffic. Usually there's this whole road rage tirade, but there's news that's like so good, or we're just in such a good mood that it doesn't even, maybe it's like a minor annoyance, but our mood goes like right back to the like the happy thing. And again, it's like it's the power of things to beget things. And coming off of Cookie 3, apparently, which is the most recent, and so I shouldn't be surprised. But it's like if we can be present and mindful enough to sort of like break those loops or try to disrupt those loops, then maybe we can start to change things. Because with the demiurge and the malaise, it's like not only do we notice things that align more with what we're experiencing, but also with the Empress below the demiurge, it's like that's what we create more of. Right. So it's like if we're having a rough day, then maybe we behave in ways to make like other people have a rough day, that puts us in an environment that's like more and more people are just like, "Ugh," you know what I mean? So not again, not only do we notice more things that align, but we also create and birth more things that align, which ultimately contributes to more and more and more of the thing. And we can use that in a positive way or in a negative way. We can use it in constructive ways or in destructive ways, right? So if we're having a good day and we do things to make the thing even better, it'd be constructive. If we are having a rough day, but we can use whatever destructively to make our rough day more great. Sorry, my brain, my brain just went in the middle of that. So if we're having a great day, we can do things to make our great day even better. If we're having a rough day, we can do things to make our rough day a little lighter. That may eventually swing the pendulum into it was an okay day, and maybe even further into you know what, it started a little rough, but by the end of the day, it was all right. All right, now sap of the moon plant, the water known alchemy, and the benevolent. Wow, the benevolent guide for the sap of the moon plant. I love that. All right, final card from the wild unknown alchemy. I see the androgen. Oh, sanguis, blood, life force. Number 37. 3 plus 7 is 10. We're going into a year 10. 2 plus 2 plus 6 is 10. Plus 0 is 10. Bottom of the deck is silver, which is 25. Oh, a blood moon. Blood moon is a lunar eclipse. I believe there's a lunar eclipse on March 2nd. Full moon Virgo lunar eclipse, I think. I think Reem was talking about it. Hey, Google, when is the next lunar eclipse?
The next lunar eclipse is a total lunar eclipse occurring on March 3rd, 2026.
March
It will be
3rd.
visible from North and South America, East Asia, and Australia. During this blood moon event, the moon will spend about 58 minutes entirely within Earth's shadow. 2026 lunar eclipses. Date, type, visible regions.
Okay, all right,
March
all
3rd,
right, all right.
total.
She said it's the 3rd and that it's visible. It will be visible across Europe. I already closed it. It doesn't matter. Because I was like, is that like the 3rd everywhere? Is the 3rd like the 2nd over here? Anyway, 33226. Interesting. 332026. Maybe this is just like hey, full moon Virgo, lunar eclipse. A total lunar eclipse, right? Not a partial one. And it said 58 minutes, which is nearly an hour. We saw this. It caught my eye in autumn, but I didn't mention it. I don't remember if the book has these colored or not. We saw autumn in the first one. It is not next to the sun anymore because I just saw the sun. Do 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 do. Autumn is between against nature and mortificatio, mortification. What an interesting place for autumn to be in. And mortification is in reverse. Against nature is upright. It's that like red jewel at the top of the tree in autumn caught my attention as I was putting the cards away. And I was just like, I'm not really getting anything right now. I'm not going to dig into it. But now I see something very similar in this blood card. Mortification is like death, things dying and decaying, but it's in reverse. And against nature is on the other side. Autumn is also going into winter. So it's when things really start to die because it's getting colder and also it's harvest season. But with mortification in reverse and against nature here, it's like entropy is the understanding that things die and the world, the universe grows, crawls inches closer and closer to chaos in every moment. But it's almost like a Benjamin Button type energy. Well, Benjamin Button only got younger. Benjamin Button as he got older. Another movie I haven't seen, but I've experienced enough of it parasocially. It's like as he got older, he got younger until he became like a baby and then a fetus and then disappeared. I don't know. Like I said, I've never seen the movie personally. I know he's born old and he gets younger. It's like it's something that becomes more alive as it lives, or it garners more life force rather than expending more life force. How does this apply? I do not know. I do not know. I do not know. I mean, low hanging fruit. Something that we thought was decaying. Maybe it's something that oh, maybe I just saw something about it's not orchids. There we go. I was like, it's not azaleas. I know it's not azaleas. I saw something about orchids last night, and I've seen this about orchids before, where it's like orchids will look like they're dead, but if you keep nurturing them, it's like they come back to life. And I remember, like, it was years ago, maybe almost 6 years ago now. I think it may have been when I visited my buddy when he still lived in Indiana. I visited early February 2020. I was home for a few weeks and then everything closed down. But anyway, he had like a basil plant or something, and I had to pick all of the leaves off of it. And I felt so bad because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm killing this plant. So I can barely taste the difference. I don't know. But I felt bad. I was like, I'm killing this. Like, I just killed this plant. So we could use it as a garnish on dinner. And then I think we had like tossed it and everything, maybe. And my journey buddy was like, oh, well, like, did you keep watering it? Because if you keep watering it, it'll regrow. It's a plant. And I was like, no, I didn't think of that. So it's almost this energy. But it's like something that happens out of season, but it's not out of season. It has its own season, it has its own timing, and it has its own cycles. And it almost makes me think of the tilt of the earth, right? in the between the winter solstice and the summer solstice, when the days are longer, the earth is tilted away from the sun, so that it, as it's like revolving on its axis, it spends more time pointed away, and then it'll rock the other way. I don't know, there's something. It's also almost the energy of like one thing's strengths covers another's weaknesses, because it's like when one thing is low, something else is high. And maybe we never notice because when we're our most active, it is its least active. So we just assume that it's like dead or that it's negligible. But it's like that's not the case. I literally had like 2 drops. Cool. Or it's like it's birthed in the autumn and it'll drop in the spring. And they are opposite seasons. I don't know. I would, if you feel so inclined, direct you to the rare gazelle. Because again, she's like the person, I almost want to say the only person, but she's who I've heard refer to that full moon Virgo the most, or the most like prominently to me, right? The one that comes to my mind. And like she got the whole full moon Virgo poem last year, right? And yeah, like when it was blood moon, I'm like, oh, the blood moon is the full moon lunar eclipse. Happens March 3rd. Full moon Virgo in Pisces season. And there's something that maybe was thought to be dead, but just like I want to keep saying azalea, just like the orchid, if we keep tending to it, or the herb, if we keep tending to it, just because we harvested the fruit doesn't mean that the plant is dead. They go through their seasons of dormancy before they come back, right? But it's like keep tending to it. It'll be back. Leave a light on. Motel 6. I already got the final card for this deck, so I'm just going to put it away. Again, I'm only getting final cards for the decks in which I did not already get a final card. And so the last one is the Dreams of Gaia Tarot, which I don't even know if I ended up using it. Because when I was going to use it, it didn't feel appropriate. Oh, look, now there's the Tree of Life with that 4 of Wands that I was in. How interesting that the Tree of Life is there now. She's just giving like it's this web of interconnectedness type whatever. The 3 of Cups and the 4 of Wands. The 4 of Coins and the 4 of Wands. All right, final card from the Dreams of Gaia. This is not the Dreams of Gaia. And of course it's the Queen of Wands. Oh. I was going to say, of course it's the Queen of Wands. As like, when I use this, I was like, the core cards in this deck in particular, I struggle with. They just like do not speak to me. We saw the Queen of Wands. It was the Judgment and the Queen of Wands, and it was like that Simba, remember who you are. Somebody remembering who the F's they is types energy. Now the Queen of Wands is here again. And first I was like, of course it's a card I don't understand. But as I see her crown jewel, It's the one we saw in blood and the one we saw in autumn. And it's right there, front and center on her crown, connected to the third eye. So, because we did just have that blood moon, right? Energy. And it was the energy of like, as long as we keep caring for something, it will return. If the thing that we continue to care for is ourselves, and even with the full moon Virgo, it was like that hermit energy. Number 9 was Neptune. So the Pisces that is Virgo would be either a full moon Pisces in Virgo season or a full moon Virgo in Pisces season. I mean, yeah, sure. And but with the thing of the orb in the hand that just like radiates light versus when that piezoelectric energy that gives it direction, you could say that's also the Sagittarius Pisces. You could say it's the Sagittarius Pisces gamut of Jupiterian expansion. Pisces is like everything everywhere all at once emanation, whereas Sagittarius is this directed, focused projection. It's the arrow that flies through the sky to reach its target rather than just like this nebulous cloud. How did I get there from here? Bottom of the deck is the Four of Cups. I was just, oh, look, it's the moon in Cancer. The moon rules Cancer. There's that 69169. Right, the chariot. I was just thinking about the Four of Cups because the Four of Cups to me, like the Five of Swords, I feel like when I look at historically, and by historically I mean as I was like learning the meanings and stuff like that, more so than like now. To me, I would see the Four of Cups as the moment where the cup is being presented to the person that is sitting in meditation. And I feel like, and so for me, it had an interpretation of like the thing is coming, it's presenting itself. Are you going to like notice it? And I feel like as I hear other people talk about it, it's like it's like again to me it's that moment where the presentation is happening, but it seems like to others it's like they've been in that moment for a while, right? So it's like the divine is like, hey, here's this cup, like you're still like manifesting, meditating, praying, wishing, hoping, whatever, but it's right here. And so it's kind of that like not noticing, not seeing, missing the mark or missing the moment or being oblivious to this thing that's happening. And it's like you may lose this opportunity. It's sitting on a gold mine, it's whatever. Right. But for me, it was always like that moment as the presentation is happening. And in this Four of Cups, this person clearly sees, and then the Knight of Swords is there again. We've seen every night, Knight of Swords, Queen of Swords. We've seen every night except for the Knight of Pentacles. We saw the Shining Dew, Knight of Cups. We saw the Knight of Swords at the cut with the Happy Tarot. Then the Knight of Wands came out. There's the Knight of Swords again behind this Four of Cups. This person like sees. Because this person sees, now this becomes a question of, and this Queen of Wands is wearing a mask. It becomes a question of like, is the Queen of Wands a costume or is it who we are? Right. Like, do we deeply, truly know who we are? Or is that confidence something that we put on to try to convince others, right? Is it like a fake it until you make it and we still haven't made it? So extend that to the Four of Cups. Is this the moment? Is this the time where the cup is being presented? Or has the cup always been there and now the person is just looking up and noticing it? And beyond that, are they going to take it? Like, again, this person has noticed the cup, but they're not necessarily postured to reach for it. They're just like, yeah, I see it. And the Queen of Wands, in her truth, knows that that's for her. And so she would grab it. But the Queen of Wands as a mask, the Queen of Wands as a costume, wouldn't, like, to call it imposter syndrome would be, it's like it would not be an accurate, it would not be a necessarily accurate representation of why the Queen of Wands wouldn't. But again, it's like when confidence is a costume, when confidence is just something that we put on to appear to be something. And so when it comes time for us to be who we are or whatever, if it's a costume, then we like shy away, right? It's almost very like the costume is two-dimensional. And so if you always view the person from the front, then you would see this. But if she were to turn around, you'd realize that like there's nothing behind her. I don't want to be like she could only afford the front half of the dress, but the currency is her confidence. So she can only afford to put on this like brave face and to appear to be a certain way. But in reality, it's like if you could see the other side, you would know that there's a limit. Even if she like turns a little bit to the side, you would like see that there's like the fabric sort of ends at some point. But packages all this up, when the thing comes for you that you know is coming for you. And it's interesting that the Knight of Swords is here because we saw the Knight of Swords. It was the bottom of the deck. The Knight of Swords, the High Priestess, and Death. Maybe it was the bottom of the deck. I know it was that trio: the Knight of Swords, the High Priestess, and Death. And it was someone who was like, the news comes that they've like been waiting for, but then it's like it doesn't work out or play out the way that they had thought. This Knight of Swords is with the Queen of Swords. So it's like, yeah, like they know. She knows. She's holding the sword which is the blade from the cookie number 2. Cookie number 3 was when the Knight of Swords, the High Priestess and Death came out. The Queen of Swords holding the sword from cookie number 2 because she knows that she's the cookie number 1. Because the Queen of Swords is the Queen of Wands. Sorry, I almost said Pentacles. The Queen of Wands is who she says she is. Then the Five of Swords is here. The Five of Swords is interesting because we've been seeing the Five of Swords. First, we saw the Five of Swords with the Page of Swords. Then we saw it with the Knight of Swords. Where's the bottom of the deck? Oh, it's right here. Now we see the Queen of Swords. And because it's Queen of Wands energy, I'm not gonna say it's because she's cold or whatever. I'm gonna say it's because she's firmly rooted in like, no, this is the truth. This is who I am, and I don't have to flex. I don't have to pretend. I don't have to do whatever. And you know, she could be like, you know, I'm not necessarily in the business of doing this or doing that. Oh, look, there's the Knight of Cups on this half of the deck. I have to split it in half because that's how it fits in the blocks. Five of Swords, Ace of Wands. And she's just like, yeah, like, I don't have to pretend. I don't have to do whatever. I'm not going to be any less than I am. If this is for me, I'm going to take it. If it makes you feel uncomfortable, I'm sorry for you, but I'm not going to sacrifice for me because it makes you uncomfortable. If it makes you uncomfortable, I don't know, improve yourself, do better. You know what I mean? And again, it just kind of sort of is what it is because she's not going to self-sacrifice. She's not going to not take what's for her just because of how it may make someone else feel about themselves, right? Maybe she believes she's in the company of other Queens of Wands, who are confident and not self-aggrandized, but self-confident. Self-confident enough that they wouldn't be threatened by her success because she's not threatened by their success. Because as a community of queens, the more queens there are opening up their sunflowers, the prettier and brighter the world will be. Right? We need more flowers in the world. So we need more Queens of Wands. Hello? Type energy. Anyway, thanks, Holly, for being here. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all have an amazing self-assured. There you go. Thank you. I hope you all have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting on to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path journey, you find. And yeah, I hope it was beneficial or resonant. I hope that you get the resonant bits. And yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. Bye.